So moving on, we're going to look at some Deontay Hardy film. But before we get to that, I want to talk about his cap hit and some of the things that we liked about him as a receiver. So the first year cap hit is supposedly in that $3.7 million range. 2024 is going to be 5.3. But there's some interesting stats on this guy because I really think that he has a good chance to overtake Isaiah McKenzie as the second leading wide receiver when teams play man coverage. Listen to some of these stats over the last 3 seasons among all wide receivers with 75 total targets. These are some of his stats. So again, over the last 3 seasons, because again, he was kind of banged up last year with turf toe. He's had some injuries, pretty much almost every other season. But yards per route run over the last 3 years, he's ranked 11th. So he's getting 2.21 yards per route run. Yards after the catch per reception, he's 5th. He's getting 6.57 yards after the catch per reception. Over the last 3 years, that is ranked 5th. Dude, that's ridiculous for a guy of his size and stature, but also adding him to the offense of the Bills, who last offseason, that was the talk of the offseason, right? Yak. This guy averages that much yak per reception over the last 3 years. He's ranked top 10. He's 5th overall.
Yeah, and you see it practically applied when you watch him. Like, he's got a lot of shiftiness. He's got a lot of juice. He's got a lot of jump in his legs, both in terms of long speed and in space, but also in close quarters. Like, he can make a variety of defenders miss. And yeah, that yards per route run is no joke. And even if you look at it just from a siloed aspect from the 2021 season, there were 94 wide receivers with at least 20% of targets in 2021. He was 6th in yards per route run, only behind Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuel, Devontae Adams, Antonio Brown, and AJ Brown. And if you increase the sample size and look at it in that 3-year span, like you mentioned, Erik, it's not like 2021 was a fluke. It's a legitimate part of his game. Like, how he was used in New Orleans, when he was used, he was almost kind of like that big play guy waiting to happen. He's a guy that's electric. He's got juice. You want to just get the ball in his hands any way that you can, and he can kind of create his own space and create his own offense.
Yeah, and you can see this. Nathan Janke from PFF. So from 2020, 2022, a minimum of 150 routes, most yards per route run out wide. You can see his names on there with Devontae Adams, AJ Brown, Tyreek Hill, and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
The out wide piece is huge because I feel like people are like, well, he's little. He's got to be slot only.
Yeah. No, that's definitely interesting to see. I couldn't believe that stat, to be honest. That was an interesting one. And there's another one that I found that had to do with man coverage. Let me see if I can bring it up. Here it is. So again, over the last 3 seasons, among all wide receivers with 75 total targets, this is what I'm talking about with man coverage. Stats versus man coverage over the last 3 years. He in EPA per target, he had 1.18, which is number 1 overall versus man coverage. So again, he's going to beat some man coverage. If teams want to play more man, which I'm expecting this year, he's going to be a man coverage beater. Yards per route run versus man coverage over the last 3 years, 2.47. That's 8th overall. And then yards after catch per reception, again, 8.29 yards over the last 3 years, which was 1st overall. So, last year when it came to man coverage, the guys that led the Bills were Diggs at 34.2%, McKenzie 13.9%, Davis 13.9%, Knox 11.8%, Beasley 6.7%, Singletary 4.8%, Shakir 4.8%, and then Cook 4.3%. So I'm looking at Davis and McKenzie, and I'm like, if this guy's healthy, if Hardy is healthy, he's going to eat into some of these percentages when teams want to go man coverage. And we saw last year that obviously Diggs was the man versus man coverage, but they needed someone else that when they took Diggs away and they wanted to play man coverage, so they used that vice bracket with 2 guys over the top of Diggs, they needed someone else to go to. And I think that Hardy could absolutely fill that role. But he offers not just the big playability to beat one-on-one and get down the field, as you'll see in film. He can take that 5-yard in route to the house as well, right, Ant?
Yeah, he's got one against the Cowboys from 2021 where he gets a little, 5-yard inbreaker and takes it 65 or 70-something yards for a touchdown and is, splitting Parsons and Trayvon Diggs and just taking it to the house. And that's an important part, right? Like, you and I have talked about it. One, just getting more work from guys in the slot and injecting more speed and vertical stretch, but also having a man beater in this offense. Like Stephon Diggs is that. Gabe Davis, who, you know, you like as a wide receiver too, and I do as well, although everybody's probably going to grab their torches and pitchforks because we just said that. Like, he's not that man beater type of wide receiver. Like, we know what he is, and it's not that. Injecting someone again with this kind of juice, and honestly, I wasn't expecting the sharpness and the suddenness in his routes that he has, like, which I guess if you watch him like juke people, like, you can understand how he has that sharpness and suddenness, but the fact that he's able to apply it in technical ways is really encouraging, and it speaks to his ability. You know, it can work against zone, but if you're going to man him up one-on-one, he can route you up real quick with his feet and his fluidity and his explosiveness, and that's huge for this offense because we've seen them struggle at times, and we anticipate, like you said, more man coverage coming forward.
Yeah, so some of the traits you're going to see on film here is obviously his quickness, as Anna was talking about, his quickness in his releases, but also in his breaks. Yeah. And his quickness is almost overwhelming to defenders where they're like, oh, I can't get beat over the top, or I can't get beat inside. I need to play inside leverage. And then they're overwhelmed, and he's able to get the leverage that he wants. He's, you know, a lot of people thought, oh, he's just going to replace McKenzie as that gadget guy. No, he's way more than that. He's way more than that, but he can do the screens, the jet action stuff, no doubt about it, because he diagnoses daylight so well, almost running back like in many ways.
Yes,
so
good call. He treats everything almost like he's on like a punt return or a kick return. Like he's setting up his blocks, looking for daylight and leveraging space while he has the ball in his hands.
Yeah, and he does a great job, whether it's man or zone, working back to the ball. You know, you'll see a defender start to jump the play, and he'll jump right in front of them to snag the ball. Reliable hands, 5.2% drop rate over the course of his career. And he does a really good job on film. I think maybe we have one clip, but whether it's high or low, he adjusts to it really well, picks it up off his shoelaces a lot of times. But the thing I was surprised with him was his contact balance, man. Again, running back like, right? You know, he does such a great job of when guys, because he's so small, so guys come in high and they try to wrap him up from the shoulder pads up, and he's able to just slip them, stay on his feet, and get more yards after the catch.
Yeah, he his speed combined with his height and his low center of gravity, but also like he's small in height, but he's not small in like stature. Like he's not a thin framed guy. And when you take how tall he is, and the fact that he's not tall and he's short, he's got kind of stockiness to him for a speedy guy. And he does not go down easy. He fights for contact. He'll run through arm tackles. He'll pinball off defenders and fight for extra yards. And not only like, he doesn't go through contact with the mindset of, let me get a couple extra yards. Like he goes into contact trying to bust it off for like another 25, 30 yards and take it to the house. Like every time he gets the ball, he's looking to make a house call on a big play. And you see it reflected in his play, like no matter what he's doing. And I really like what you highlighted, like the idea of, I think people see, oh, small gadget guy, cool, like cut McKenzie, it is what it is. But I genuinely think like you, like he's got more potential than that. He's not just a return guy and a gadget guy. He has the potential, if he stays healthy, given his skill set and the fit in this offense, he could really make some noise.
Yeah, and that's the thing, health. That's the big thing with him. He's just got to stay healthy. They're paying him to stay healthy and make plays. So here, I wanted to start this clip off with this film room session on Hardy with a play that shows his acceleration. So here he is coming across the formation, and they're going to run a little, basically a little flat route to him, a little screen, and watch him just, you know, casually catch the ball, diagnose the blocks, lets his blocks get out there, but then watch how he goes from 0 to 60 here. Like, boom, puts his foot in the ground, north and south, first down. Like, that's an easy button. That's an easy button play. And the Giants are lucky that he didn't break this here, because if Kamara picks up this block a little better, or even I'll even put some on Hardy, if he reads this better, this could be a touchdown. But either way, man, the quickness and acceleration, this is going to be a nice dimension added to the Bills offense.
He gets the ball in his hands on this one and just takes that quick little hop step to get the defender commit towards the outside so he can set that block up, that second level defender. I think of Bradbury there, and exactly you highlighted in there, like he gets him to commit upfield and sets him up. And basically, so he uses his that block that's happening on the outside. Yeah. Exactly. He allows his one blocker to take up two guys because he set that up. That's legitimate. That's not accidental. He does that with regularity and then puts his foot in the dirt. And like you said, like just steps on the gas pedal and floors it. You don't have to have the perfect screen game or the perfect block set up because he knows how to elevate it and set it up himself. And then he's got the juice to take advantage of it. If you can get it to him in these situations, it can legitimately be like an easy 5 to 10 yards or 10 yards in a cloud of dust if it works out appropriately.
And here's another like screen type play, almost the other side, exact same play. But watch the elusiveness. You see this guy, he's right here. So he dips and then cuts back on his side. Like his elusiveness is very running back like here. Watch that move right there. But then this defender does get a piece of him. Look, he gets a shot to make the tackle on him, but he rips through that, bounces off of it for several more yards, gets closer to the first down. Like this is nasty. Again, McKenzie, when the Bills would run screens to him or even Cole Beasley, like a lot of fans are saying, oh, well, we don't run screens. Well, they actually have run a lot of wide receiver screens. They don't run a lot of running back screens. They have run, but if you look over the last 3 or 4 years, they've run near the top of the league when it comes to wide receiver screens. They don't run a lot of running back screens, but you put the ball in your hands of this wide receiver, he's able to make plays like a running back screen by making people miss and then that contact balance, Ant.
That's the huge piece, right? Like he's got the speed and the quickness and the shake and the elusiveness, but but a lot of guys have that. Like McKenzie has some of that. He doesn't have the contact balance that Hardy has, and not a lot of small guys like have that. It takes toughness, it takes agility, it takes strength, it takes a variety of pieces to be able to function. And again, this isn't him shaking off a tackle from, a corner or some like smaller safety. Like he's shaking off a tackle from, a box defender, from a legitimate defensive lineman who is getting on the angle on him, and he sets it up, gets outside that inside man just by putting his foot in the dirt. And then I like this too, like, because sometimes these gadget guys will get too horizontal and they'll go too east and west, but he's good at getting north and south. Just puts his head down, doesn't, oh, you know what, I'll just take the hit and gain a couple yards. He's trying to maximize it, and he runs through a tackle and gets close to the first down marker. This is an aspect of the Bills game that they haven't had, and they're speedier, smaller Smurf kind of guys. They haven't had this type of contact balance within them. And so again, it's another dynamic that would be new and welcome to this Bills offense.
Yeah. And this is one of my favorite reps right here. So bottom of the screen, watch this versus man coverage. So a lot of people are like, okay, a guy that's small, how is he versus press? How does he separate or get off the line of scrimmage? I mean, you're not going to have an issue with him getting off the line of scrimmage right here. And then just watch. Again, I said that he makes guys almost panic. You're going to see this guy think that he's going to go deep. Well, he's going to go deep until he isn't, and he snaps that route off. Look at that separation. I mean, that's what, 3 or 4 yards of separation.
Yeah.
Pat on third down, third and short, third and 3 yards or so, snaps that route off. Like these are the routes that are always open for the Bills. These curls or deep comebacks. This is third down. This is a really nice route from him, and separation is the name of the game, and he's got it. He's a separator, and I can't wait to see Josh Allen throw to a guy like him.
I think people often conflate speed with separation and think that's the only way that you can separate. And ironically, we're talking about a guy with speed, but you can separate on your release. You can separate at multiple points in the route stem. You can separate at the catch point. You can separate at the break. He does a really good job of snapping off these deep comebacks or these hooks or curls, depending on, how you want to phrase it, type of offensive system that you're used to. He sells the vertical. And again, you will see this in his games. He sells the vertical with his pace and his body language, but then he's able to just snap it off and come back to the ball. And when he snaps it off, look at his feet. It's just a real quick pop, 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 and he's out. And he's out of the break. The defender is still like catching himself and trying to get his feet back under him. And Hardy is already out of his break, like before you even know it. He's literally one of those dudes like blink and you missed him. And he does this with regularity. And then he comes back to the football, catches it, gets upfield again. He can separate. And it's not just because, well, of course, he's a really fast guy. He knows how to run his routes and how to pace them and when and where to snap it off. And then he's got the footwork and the hip fluidity and flexibility to be able to pop out of those breaks quickly and separate at the top of the route. It's real pretty.
Yeah, I know my buddy Yards Per Pass on Twitter, he likened him to Darren Sproles on how he runs. And I said, I like that comp. You see his feet. It's like quick pitter patter. He's so fast.
He's got like a
road runner. He's just gone. And I thought he looked like a brand, like just visually, he looks like a Brandon Cooks light. He's not as big as Brandon Cooks or as fast as him, but I felt and saw, like, when I watched his movements and his breaks like that one and how he separates versus man coverage, I felt like he was a Brandon Cooks light. So here's a zone coverage play where they're running him on an out route from the slot. And we talked about contact balance. Look at him sit in that hole of that zone defense. Nice throw up and over that defender underneath. But then right here, he's surrounded. He has no business getting any more yards right here. But again, that guy comes in high. That guy tries to lighten him up, and he's able to maintain his balance. That is ridiculous. And this is against the Bucs. There's some really good defenders on that defense. You see him break that tackle with his contact balance, speed up the sideline, make another guy miss for an explosive play.
Again, to be able to fight through that initial tackle right after the catch, that takes core strength. It takes flexibility. It takes a little bit of ankle flexion, like to be able to pull that off. Like your momentum is carrying you another way. And then all of a sudden that momentum stops. And he's almost able to use this arm tackle as like a slingshot and propel himself forward up the sideline. He survives basically 2 hits. And then this is what I really like. Like as soon as he gets free, immediately he kicks it into overdrive and gets upfield. But then again, all right, cool. Maybe I'll get out of bounds and just keep going. We see that all the time. Nope. Puts his foot in the dirt, beats a good safety in Antoine Winfield Jr. and keeps getting upfield. The Bucs defense just does a good job of pursuing. Shout out to Levante David. Oh, what could have been. And it's all these little dynamics and all these little wrinkles that he offers. And this is something that, for people who want to make that comp, like Isaiah McKenzie was not doing this. Isaiah McKenzie wasn't pinballing off of defenders and almost like operating with he almost runs with like speed to power, like a bull rusher would, like off the edge. He's able to convert that speed into legitimate momentum, and he uses it and wields it in physical ways. And it's impressive.
Right. And a guy with his size, you can't just, again, put him on the line of scrimmage all the time, expose him to press. You got to do some things formationally to give him those free releases. And you saw this with the Bills years ago when they had Cole Beasley, is they run these stack sets to keep Beasley clean, but to run these like option routes. So you're going to see him in the slot and he's on the line of scrimmage, but watch him delay the release, let that coverage kind of unfold, right? And then he's reading the zone coverage, and it's just, hey, I'm going to sit right there. So this is something that the Bucs did, and I'm sure the Bills are going to do it. We saw it last year as well. So a little delayed release, stack set, hit that curl. But this is the other thing, the yak portion of this. Okay, normally Beasley, the last couple of years of his career, he was probably just getting down at this point. But watch how he's able to turn on the jets and eliminate angles and get up the field for several more yards. Like it's incredible. It's incredible he's able to turn that corner and get several yards after that catch.
He turns the corner and gets upfield like a good edge rusher would when they're bending around that arc. Like he's able to it's tight and he just leans and dips the shoulder and he gets upfield. And again, this is what you'll see with regularity. Like it's in his tape. Like he'll use these delayed releases, kind of hop step a little bit, bang, bang, sit down, find his way to leverage space and sit. And then as soon as he gets the ball, he goes into attack mode. Like he doesn't just sit and let the ball come to him and then turn. He starts moving once he sees this ball comes. And then you highlighted the little runway that he's got there. He sees it, turns on the jets and gets upfield. And it may not seem like, oh, what a big difference, but he catches the ball at about the 41 and he takes it to the 50. Like that's another 9 yards. That's like one less first down. Exactly. That's another first down. Yeah. That's one less that you have to earn as you're trying to matriculate the ball down the field. It's a nice little potential easy button, because those are the routes that you'll see the Buffalo Bills run, but because they don't have yards after catch guys, they make it, and then it turns maybe into a 1 or 2 or 3 yard gain after. Not another 9, not another first down.
Yeah, here's another one, stack set, but he's on the line of scrimmage here in the slot. Again, waits it out. That guy, again, has to be patient, but then watch him snap this route off. Like he can run those option routes that Beasley used to, but again, he's got a different element because of his speed and quickness, and then some yak after that as well. He's not just going to go down. He's going to get some yards after the catch. Just really, really nice formation usage to get him free on this delayed release. And then again, just how quick he is out of that break. That guy he's got nothing. He's got nothing here. There's that separation again. Telling you, he's going to be an issue when teams want to play man coverage, and that's what you want. Whether he's inside or outside, he's going to be an issue versus man coverage next year.
Especially when you put him in the slot in a scenario like this, like where you have that two-way go and it's just one-on-one and he's, pitter-pattering those feet and he's pumping his arms. You don't know, like, because you're on that island and he could go left or right. You don't know what he's going to do. And it's kind of pick your poison in the world is his oyster. And when he gets that space in one-on-one, there's so much room for him to operate. And he's so quick and he's so fast and he's got that suddenness and decisiveness in his game that it's an easy win. And you highlighted it there, like legitimately for the defender. And the body language from Hardy, he could be going inside. He could be going outside. Like you genuinely don't know. Maybe they're running a little bit of mesh and he's gonna run a drag across the middle, or maybe he's gonna pop it on a speed out. Like you don't know. So you have to play him, straight up and squared and see where he's gonna go. But then because he has that quickness and that suddenness, you're at a disadvantage. And he separates so quickly. Like
steps on the dude's toes. That's crazy.
And you see the defender try and reach, but he's so off balance. Like he's reaching as he's falling backwards. He gets put out of position. And that's because Hardy is forcing him into being put out of position. And then he said it. What does he do? As soon as he catches the ball, he's not taking it and getting out of bounds. He catches it. He's immediately looking to get upfield. He transitions from receiver to ball carrier, and he's trying to maximize everything he can out of it.
Yeah, and I love this because that defender at the top of the route break, he actually is playing decent outside leverage. He wants to take away the outside route here, but because of the quickness of Hardy, he's still able to win it at the top of that route. Just, again, nearly gets the first down here, sets up for a short yardage play. So he can win at all three levels. And a lot of the stuff you saw up to this point were in that short area, that intermediate area. So here he is to the bottom of the screen. He can win deep, obviously, as well. So, again, similar stack set. This time he's outside as the outside wide receiver. But I love his active hands. And look at this. I mean, there's two guys right here. So they're disguising it really well, making it look like, hey, we got two guys over the top. But watch the hand usage. Sets them up outside, up the numbers. But as that guy commits to open up and kick, step out to the boundary, he gets back inside with active hands, throws that guy by, and then stacks him as he's getting vertical, and he's able to reel the pass in down the field. Nice catch at the end. Gets up, gets a few more yards after the catch again. Great awareness. I just love this stuff. Again, at the line of scrimmage, that guy tries disrupting him and can keep in leverage. He uses active hands for a little guy. He's got very active hands, and that's one thing I love about wide receivers.
The corner here is in a soft shoe press, so he's mirroring off the line of scrimmage. He's not going for the jam, and Hardy uses that. Like he sells him with that outside release, gets the corner to open up to the boundary, and then immediately plants that left foot in the ground, kicks it back inside, works through the contact, and then because this is where you see the speed, he's able to separate and stack just because he has that speed. And then he makes a really nice over-the-shoulder catch downfield. And then again, the wherewithal, he knows he wasn't touched. He knows he's not down. So he's got the athleticism to catch this ball, roll through it, and use his momentum, and then has the awareness to just get back up and tie it together with that athleticism. And he fights forward for like another 5 yards, again, trying to maximize everything. This one is quickness. It's some strength. It's some hand technique. It's some awareness. He displays a lot of these abilities in a variety of ways. And again, that's what makes him different than what the Bills have had in his type of size or stature at the wide receiver position previously.
Similar formation here, outside, off the line of scrimmage, sets up that release. You see him follow that tight end up the field, and then he's just over the middle. But the reason I picked this play is, yeah, he's open. There's no problem. There's a guy over the top. He's not able to get to that inside route. But watch this throw by the quarterback, and this is in traffic. Look at him adjust, avoid that big hit, and then get a couple yards afterwards. The type I said, reliable hands. Being able to trust a smaller receiver over the middle is really important for Josh Allen, because it felt at times last year that Josh avoided the middle of the field. Taysom Hill doesn't on this play. It's a bad, inaccurate throw. It's a bad placement, but look at him adjust to it, spin, and then get upfield for the first down. Trust over the middle of the field for a guy with his stature and ability to separate. If he can win quickly and get over the middle of the field like this, this bodes well for Josh Allen. This is the type of guy they need over the middle, especially if you're talking like smaller stature, slot type guys.
He had several reps in this game where, whether on slants or some in breakers where he was open, but Taysom Hill kind of really waits for you to clear and be in that window wide open before he throws it. He's not a big anticipatory thrower. And you see it on this one, like he's waiting and doesn't really even see that second level defender coming from the other side. And the defender gets his body right onto the hands and almost onto the ball here on Hardy. But like you said, he's got the good hands and also the athleticism for him to catch this and turn in midair and then the balance to withstand the hit. And he just lands, kind of tries to, reset himself, but then gets tackled right there and can't get through it. That's a nice tough catch over the middle. And like you said, like that's an aspect. Oh, when did you show that graphic? Like 2 or 3 weeks ago, where we showed like the difference in Josh Allen work in the middle of the field this past year. Like there just wasn't that type of consistency for him. And I'm right with you. I think a lot of it was trust based on what he was seeing. Like Hardy could be, a positive step in terms of attacking that area of the field.
And that's the thing. Like, I don't want to get down on guys, but McKenzie, a lot of people talk about Gabriel Davis's drops, but McKenzie was up there.
Yep. And it started right in game 1, like against the Rams. Allen had that interception because McKenzie let it bounce right off his hands.
Yep. And so here's a play the Bills run a lot of, just like a flood sail concept. We're going to have him at the top of the screen, just running that V route, getting deep, almost like stuff that John Brown used to run. You see him and they let him loose. I mean, they let him loose. They're not over the top of him, but I just really like his tracking on this play as he's down the field, catching the ball for the touchdown. So he's got the wheels to go deep, whether they use him as a clearing route or actually just throw it to him. This is typically one of those plays like, hey, he's an alert. If you get this single high coverage, then you throw it to him. But more times than not, you're not throwing it to him. But he's able to get down the field, work all 3 levels. As I said, he can work all 3 levels. He can get to that 3rd level quickly, which is important when you're talking diagnosing these type of like alert type routes. He's able to get deep and track this ball very, very nicely for the touchdown.
Yeah, his speed and quickness is real. And I love that you mentioned the clear out piece. It's one of the things in my notes. Like he's got that vertical threat ability. So you can use him as just pure clear out guy if you want to just make space and be able to attack the intermediate and create some chunk plays that way. Or if you get the right look and you have a big, strong armed quarterback who's good at throwing the ball downfield and can drop it in the breadbasket for a guy who can run underneath and catch it, he becomes a weapon for you. And so on this one, it's not just a clear out piece. Like you get the coverage that you want. Jameis puts a good ball on him. He's got that ability to separate once he gets going. And you just see that speed. Like it's real. I saw a couple comments earlier asking about like, what's his true 40 and this and that. Like forget what his 40 is. When you watch the tape, you see him consistently separate and blow by guys. Like that's all you need to know. His game speed is real and it factors in a variety of ways, short, intermediate, and vertical in the deep areas. Again, another one, just running completely by guys. Sometimes it's with nuance. Sometimes it's just with his speed and his ability. And this one, he just coasted into the end zone on the post.
Yeah, this was more of a blown coverage. There's no way this guy's going to get to the deep middle here. But I put this play in there. You can see him open it up. You see him open it up, and then he's bending it to the middle, almost right into the thick of this guy in pursuit. But another good job of just tracking it and then, again, avoiding that guy for the touchdown. Just a player you got to see him open it up a little because a lot of people are asking about his 40 and whatnot, but I wanted to throw this play in there.
Yeah, you really get to see him. It's kind of like you got like that power car, but you want to you're not driving in the city. You want to get it on the open road and the highway and be able to open it up and see what it can do. And when you see him run these vertical routes and get some of that space, it's impressive. Or what's nice too, for people, you can look at his punt return highlights or kick return highlights where he's just functioning in space and you see the speed and the suddenness and he's just juking guys out of their shoes and getting upfield and his ability to go horizontal or his ability to go vertical. Like you really see his athleticism and burst and suddenness and sharpness in his movements when he can really get out into space. And again, like I think this was one that people saw the money and were like, oh my God, like, well, first they saw the name and were like, who is this? And then it's like, oh, it used to be Deontay Harris. And then people saw the money and we're down on it a bit. But then you see how incentive laden the contract is. And it's like, oh, okay, that's a fair contract. And then you start to watch him and he's so much more than I think people initially thought that he would be.
Yeah. And Chris is asking, just me, or does this signing have a Smoke Brown feeling? I could see why you would think that, but John Brown, he, again, stature wise actually was taller and bigger than Deontay, but Deontay is just, again, he's got that running back element where he's got the contact balance. Yes, he's going to take a lot of those wide receiver screens that John Brown did versus those cover zero looks, but he's not just going to house it with speed where he got good blocking and hit that alley. He's going to break some tackles. He's going to make some guys miss. And that's scary to think about because, again, the Bills face a lot of cover zeros, and to have that check back into this offense would be nice to have. But I understand why he thinks that, he's got a little smoke feeling to him. I could see that, but I think he's a little more. I honestly, if he stays healthy, this guy's going to eat in this offense with Josh Allen. Because as you said, there are times where Josh does want to see the guy open, right? He wants to see the guy open. That's why we always say, like, Josh has to have those separators. And John Brown was one of those guys, but I feel like Deontay is going to be a different element to this offense. He's going to be almost like a combination of John Brown and Cole Beasley because he can beat you over the top with that speed, kind of similar stature of those two guys, but do some of that stuff in that short area with separation that Cole Beasley did. But after he catches it, he's going to get more yardage. There's no doubt about it. Again, he's been tops since he's been in the league. It's just staying healthy. That's the biggest knock on him. Is staying healthy.
Yeah. And, I know, and it's fair that if people want to tie it to his, stature, and it's like, well, he can't stay healthy because he is a smaller type of guy, but hopefully, knock on wood, we didn't really see it last year with the Bills, but this is a team that has largely been able to stay healthy. We know how top tier their facilities are and their medical team and how they treat their players and what they do for injury prevention and then injury management if anything happens, whether it's, soft tissue or muscular or even bone and things. So I think it's a good situation for him to go to from an injury standpoint, potentially. And again, like you said, if he can stay healthy, what you already have in this Bills offense with Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis and Dawson Knox and what you have with Josh Allen, this type of dynamic in terms of the skill set, we really haven't seen from the Buffalo Bills before, or for Josh Allen and in this type of offense. And I think we're going to continue to get these comps of like, oh, like John Brown, or, oh, Isaiah McKenzie, or, but he's a different type of guy. Like, don't let the stature just make you think they're the same player. It's similar with the draft conversation. I think people see Kalijah Cansey from Pitt and they're like, oh, he's Ed Oliver. It's like, no, like, watch his pass rush moves and his plan. He's a different type of guy. So don't just box somebody in based on the stature and frame. While understandable, he's a different type of player, and one that the Buffalo Bills offense has not had, and one that is a needed skill set and dynamic and element for this offense, given where we've seen them struggle these past couple of years.
Yeah, Traz asks, how much time do you think he will see out of the backfield? It's something that they dabbled with under Dable a couple of years ago with Beasley. So, yeah. Last year, Hardy, again, shortened year, turf toe. He was in the backfield 1 rep. The year before that, 2021, in the backfield 9 different times. And then 2020, 4 different times. So there will be times, but it's mainly teams do that. And I know he can run the ball as well, but teams mainly do that when they want to just identify the coverage. Like, hey, I'm putting that wide receiver in the backfield. Who's over the top of him? Where are they aligned? Is it a safety? Is it a corner? Is it a linebacker? It's really just to identify coverage more times than not. And then that's why you would see like Beasley, when they would have him in the backfield like that, right before the play would be snapped, they would motion him out of the backfield. And so they knew what coverage was coming.